Volunteers will get the ball to start the second half. Good kick, drives Dallas 4 yards deep. He'll bring it out of the end zone. And is whacked.
Illegal formation. Kicking team. Number 14 was more than 5 yards beyond the restraining line. 5-yard penalty, re-kick.
Blur on offense. And if you're a defensive player, we saw it 3 or 4 times. Guys got back to their position, looked to the sideline, and by the time they knew what the defense was going to be, somebody had just blown by them, and that guy happened to have the football. So we'll try the kickoff again. Dallas from the 4.
Well, as if Oregon doesn't have enough, and Marcus Mariota, who has 362 total yards in a half. Great run there. Looked like the zone read was dead, but then the step up of Johnny Munt, the true freshman, stepping in with Colt Lyerla out for an undisclosed reason. The true freshman comes up, and then Josh Huff, a young man who struggled last year with injuries, but they've always known he has big plays in him there for Oregon getting in.
I think if you're Tennessee, you have to run the offense that you know is going to work for you the rest of the season. Rajon Neal is the tailback with Worley. Play action fake. Blitz coming. Worley unloads, underthrown, and incomplete. Pressure coming again. The pass over the middle is going to be shy of a first down, even though it's complete. Pilardi to kick to Braylon Addison, and again, they get a good sideline kick. They don't want him to get the return after he broke that big one off.
There's more potentially mental strain, and I think that's where the defense gets tired against these guys, both physically and mentally.
Mariota throws to the sideline, and they're going to say Addison stayed in bounds for the catch.
Going fast, so just in case the replay officials want to look at it, looked clearly like a catch, though.
Addison again cuts it back, makes 2 or 3 guys miss, and then is swarmed by the defense. Oh, nice job of keeping the feet down.
He's got it both down. That's good in the NFL. Only 1 foot in college. Showing off there.
Mariota in trouble. He'll throw this one away.
You know, the idea of playing the next play, it's almost like Oregon has taken that to another level. Their players just seem completely in control all the time. You just don't see guys lost or confused. There's just a really bright team.
Straight drop. Mariota completes to Hawkins, and Hawkins will have enough for a first down at the Tennessee 44.
Talking to Mark Helfrich yesterday, and he mentioned the last 5 recruiting classes that the Ducks have brought in. Every single member of all 5 classes has qualified academically. That's unheard of. Usually there's 2 or 3 guys. Over a year or 2, you're going to have 2 or 3 guys that don't qualify. Go 5 straight years, he says. Pretty amazing. Shows the quality of people that this program is able to go out and recruit now.
And it's great from an academic standpoint, but it's also great from a football standpoint. Because if you run the offense the way they do, you've got to have smart people who can absorb what they're trying to do on offense. And they have to be really fast on the uptick.
Well, they do it.
Blitz coming. Mariota runs out of trouble. And then some. 13 seconds to get back to where you're supposed to play defense. Look to the sideline. Hope to get the call. Hope to take a breath. And then you've got somebody like DeAnthony Thomas, who probably runs a 4.2, coming right back at you.
And the Tennessee coaches, that's what they talked about, was the pre-snap confusion that Oregon is able to get the opponent consistently into a position where there's just that half a second of hesitation.
Mariota with the fake. There's Munt wide open again. And the big guy rumbles into the end zone. Now, we will be looking ahead to the rest of Oregon's schedule in this game and try to identify somebody that might be the real true test. We thought it might be Tennessee. Turns out it's not going to be. 45-7. Vincent Dallas driven 6 yards deep. He'll take a knee. Nick Saban does pretty good in revenge games, although he won't call them that. Lane again on the handoff from Worley. Remember, if you joined us late, we pointed out that 4 of the 5 offensive linemen for Tennessee were voted by the Southeastern Conference coaches to either the first, second, or third team all-conference. You're talking about 4 guys out of the top 15 offensive linemen in the SEC. Richardson, first team. Fulton and James, second team. Stone, the offense of the center, to the third team. Bullard isn't bad either. The starting left guard. I mean, this is a massive, mobile offensive line. Honors candidates across the board. And this is something you want to see what your defensive line and your linebackers, that front 7, can handle, because Stanford is the prototype of that downhill running football team that really broke Oregon's heart a year ago. Worley with the out to his tight end, Brendan Downs. So instead of 8 men in the box to defend a good running game, they had 4.
And what the way that they do that is these 3 defensive linemen are actually responsible for 6 gaps. Because they're playing what's called a 2-gap technique, which means they have the gap to either side of the offensive lineman they're defending. Now you have less linebackers. You see a ball that gets out to the edge. All of the Oregon jerseys out there, because they've been able to walk guys away from the line of scrimmage, because they actually had 1 less in the box to defend the guys up front. Let everybody else be 220 pounds or under and run really fast. That's the theory that Nick Aliotti is trying to build here for a team to get ready to play it, because you don't have anybody on your team, Tennessee, that knows how to play this technique.
Blitz coming this time, and Worley's face underthrown. Four-man rush. Worley just off target. Nice end-over-end punt with that backspin on it, because you kicked the point of the ball down to the 11.
Oregon gets the ball back up 45-7, and one of the things that Marcus Mariota talks about is the pre-snap numbers game. This last year against Stanford, as he surveys the field, this is a zone run to the right, but he sees he has 4 defenders for the 2 blockers to that side. So even though the offensive line is going to run the play to the right, the 2 defenders for Stanford are out covering 3 receivers. The hard part for the defense, you still have to play the zone read. The offensive line runs the play. The ball comes back to the other side for an 11-yard gain. That's the hard part about playing defense. Stanford in that one was thinking, we have the run outnumbered, but unfortunately you leave 2 to the other side. It's an automatic read for Mariota to come back to the wide receiver screen. So hard to defend.
Straight up the middle goes Byron Marshall.
And I think really that's one of the things that this offense and some of the other modern spread offenses has done, Mike. You can never come off of your guy. You may think it's going one way, but it may come right back to you. Receivers they were looking at, you knew where they like to run it out of those formations, and now you just have not a clue.
Mariota just became the first Oregon passer to go over 400 yards since Kellen Clemens did it in 2005.
Offensive coordinator Scott Frost told me efficiency of communication is paramount. They'll adjust quickly between series, and then they will line up 7 or 8 plays in a row, and I'll finish after this. So they'll line things up like airplanes waiting to land, and once on the field, Frost will use play calls of only 2 to 6 words. But it's not just Oregon. The Tennessee coaches have simplified to 1-word calls for today.
And we have, I think, hit warp 9 at this point.
And
it's like 11. A face mask on top of it, and the only thing that does is give Tennessee a little breathing room.
No foul. Face mask. Defense. That penalty will be enforced after the goal with an automatic first down.
If you could line up enough good athletes to play man, you can defend this. Problem is you just don't. I don't even know there's NFL teams that have that type of talent.
Well, Chip Kelly would say they don't.
It looked like the other night.
That pass intended for Lowe, broken up. Justin Coleman, good defense.
And boy, the Oregon fans took a lot of pride in what the Eagles did. They use a term around here called the Oregon way. And I was reading some of the local papers of how proud they were that the Oregon way seems to be translating. Now, I think he may have to slow down a bit with a 53, 45-man roster.
Around the corner, Marshall. Touchdown. Touchdown. Yep.
Looked to me like he did. Brian Randolph got to be a little careful there. Didn't quite drop his head. Didn't look like he was targeting, but that could have been close. We know it's being called
2 yards deep this time. Has a seam. And gets it out to the 27. Of course, Oregon, everybody was asking that last year. Last November, they played host to Stanford. Late regulation, the Cardinals, 4th and 1, kept the drive going. Then Kevin Hogan hit Zach Ertz, and a replay showed it was a touchdown and tied the ball game. In overtime, Oregon had the ball at the 1, but Maldonado's kick hit the upright. And after that, Stanford's Jordan Williamson did not miss and gave Oregon their only loss of the season, 17-14. As you look ahead, is Stanford the team that they have to worry about here?
I think Washington, UCLA, and Stanford look to me like the only teams that might be able to give this Oregon bunch everything they can handle. I'm not totally sold on Washington yet. We'll see what the outcome is with Illinois today. I don't know that Boise State's as good as they have been in the past, but that October 12th at Washington State, and UCLA gets a huge win today on the road against Nebraska. Very emotional win after losing a teammate over the weekend. And then at Stanford, that to me makes this season for Oregon. That's a pretty tough run. And of those teams, I think Stanford or UCLA, I think have the best chance of beating them.
But I tell you what, you let it become a track meet against these guys, you have no chance because nobody is faster than these kids.
And that's what's interesting. You look around the Pac-12, you think everyone's kind of spread out, but that's what Stanford did to Oregon last year. Stanford has done an amazing job of building both incredibly good offensive lines and very big and physical defensive lines. And so we were talking about how you defend the Oregon defense. Well, Stanford's getting close to having those 4 defensive linemen that can do it all themselves.
Janine, that's what you have to build it from where you have hit rock bottom, and certainly they had. That is Thomas Tyner, the young man who is in a tailback now, and Jeff Lockie is the new quarterback. So the superstars, Mariota and Thomas, are done for the day after brilliant performances. For Tyner, it is his birthday today. He is 19 years old. When he was 18 years old, as Lockie has it on the keeper, when he was 18 years old, he probably didn't have enough breath to blow out the candles on his birthday cake, because in the game he played, he ran for 643 yards and had 10 touchdowns. That's in one game. I don't think he's going to match that on his 19th birthday, but
they got a quarter and 4 minutes to go.
He is the guy they are looking at and saying, just a tremendous talent. State record holder in the 100 meters. Would seem to fit like a glove in this offense.
Guy who battled the left ankle injury in camp, so wasn't quite ready in the first game against Nicholls State.
Lockie, after hesitating, completes.
Nice cut block that time by the freshman Thomas Tyner.
Foul, roughing the passer. Defense number 95. A 15-yard penalty will be added to the end of the play with an automatic first down.
Ooh, the helmet to the chin.
A targeting penalty, although the contact didn't seem to initiate.
Now, if you're Tennessee's defense and those first teamers are still in there, you're thinking pride. You don't want to be shown up any more than has already happened to you.
For Tennessee, you've got to start being concerned about some injuries to your frontline guys.
Tyner. They talk about the Oregon way. If you're a young player, you're not supposed to have a big head. You're not supposed to be able to think about, I'm as good as it gets and I just want my chance. One of the linebackers laid him out in the middle of one practice, according to the article. Neither Tyner nor the linebacker would confirm it, but everybody was smiling when they were not confirming it. Tyner again.
Guys get bored around here because you're going to go in the game very soon in your career if you're any good.
Going at warp speed again. Tyner to the goal line. Touchdown. I can't tell. I don't know about you.
Too many bodies in there. As Oregon now bringing in Jake Rodriguez. It is kind of a two-headed second-string situation for Oregon. Jeff Locke and Jake Rodriguez are both tied for the number 2 spot, so trying to get Rodriguez some run here before the quarter runs out, but they'll have to wait to the 4th.
We'll see how the redshirt freshman does this presentation. You've used an ineligible player, and you've got to start forfeiting ball games.
Well, that's the big part of this story, of course, is DJ Fluker, who was a starting offensive tackle for Alabama's national championship team last year, and that would be the concern if you're an Alabama fan, is what's that outcome. But for Tennessee, as Oregon now bringing in Jake Rodriguez, it is kind of a two-headed second-string situation for Oregon. Jeff Locke and Jake Rodriguez are both tied for the number 2 spot, so trying to get Rodriguez some run here before the quarter runs out, but they'll have to wait to the 4th.
We'll see how the redshirt freshman does. This presentation of college football presented by Buffalo Wild Wings will continue. And a word from our ABC stations.
HTC Hipster Drone Car Wash. They love it now. Can you switch it up? I need options.
Put change in your hand with the all-metal HTC One and Boom Sound. Dual front stereo speakers for sound worth sharing. HTC, here's to change.
The HTC One, now available at Verizon.
Any last requests, Mr. Baldwin?
Mind grabbing my phone and opening the Capital One Purchase Eraser? I need to redeem some venture miles before my demise.
Okay.
It's easy to erase any recent travel expense I want. Just pick that flight right there. Give it a few taps, and it's taken care of.
This is pretty easy. And I see it works on hotels, too.
You bet. Now, if you like that, press the red button on top.
Senator. Yeah, I'm married. Does it matter? You do that for me? Really? Yeah, I'd like that.
Who are you talking?
Hamper. I'd say Keenan kind of proved himself so far today.
Oh, look, a gift from nature. It tastes good. Oh, you like that? Let's get wholesome.
4th and long. Tennessee trying to keep the football. Blitz coming. They picked it up well. Peterman throws and has it complete to the 27. That should be enough for a first down. Good throw by Peterman. Smith. Nice little misdirection cut.
There's 2 different rules. There's targeting a defensive player at the header net. Clearly not a defensive player. But watching it in slow motion, though, it's amazing how often they get this right. That time, Isaac Dixon, even though there was contact at the head, the player was not defenseless, and the only way it would have been a penalty is if Dixon had lowered his head.
The officials, of course, don't get the benefit of that replay. Nice cut to the outside and a touchdown for Tennessee. Pilardi for the point after. And if you're Tennessee, you had to be so hopeful after that first score. Things were going so well. It's been a long time between touchdowns. Intersectional contest between Tennessee and number 2 Oregon. The Volunteers scored first, but after that, it was an onslaught from Oregon. Mariota, 483 total yards, 5 scores. Thomas rushed for 86, and Munt, in his first start, had a huge day at tight end. The impressive detail in Oregon's new Hatfield-Dallin complex does not end with the more glamorous areas of the building. Even the parking garage is impressive. Got artwork. The other stuff. The garage is nicer than the first apartment I ever had. But this building, it is stunning. If you're within 100 miles of here, it's worth your trouble to come over and take a look at it. It's the most magnificent thing I've ever seen as an athletic facility.
The football facility looks more like a modern art museum.
Yes.
Than it does a football facility. It is quite impressive. The numbers, Mariota had a huge first half, great numbers, but as the season goes on, because Oregon may blow out some of their opponents, may start to hurt them. There's 2 INTs by Manziel. One of them is returned for a touchdown.
Against obviously stronger competition, though.
It's hard to believe that Johnny Manziel was an Oregon commit at one point.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, he committed to Oregon. Mark Helfrich actually was doing a tremendous job recruiting him, and would have been in the same class as Marcus Mariota.
Texas A&M eventually did call. He answered.
And Mariota was a guy that when they went looking, when Mark Helfrich again went looking at some talent in Hawaii, Mariota wasn't. He's a guy who only started as a senior in high school, and he looked at the film and he said, how's everybody missing this guy called Chip Kelly? And they actually had a camp, an off-season camp, where Marcus Mariota and Johnny Manziel were both quarterbacks in a high school camp here at Oregon. So he invited them both, and we asked Helfrich, what was that like? He said, that was a pretty fun camp for us.
If Mariota only started as a senior with the skill that he has, can you imagine the guys who were starting before him?
Yeah.
It's like when Barry Sanders was at Oklahoma State.
Wasn't good enough.
He didn't get to start until he was a senior. Yeah. Barry Sanders turned out to be a pretty good running back.
Well, the guy ahead of him is in the NFL Hall of Fame in Thurman Thomas. But, yeah, this was a Johnny Manziel. If he had not been recruited by Mike Sherman, who coached before Mike Sumlin to A&M, may well have been a Duck.
Suggest this off of what I have seen from their offense. I don't particularly care what their defense is.
It's
that
pretty
offense
amazing.
is remarkable.
Yeah. And to think Marcus Mariota started out 2 for 7. They went 3 and out, had a missed field goal, and then they just put their foot on the gas and run right by Butch Jones in Tennessee.
And then, as somebody once said, boom went the dynamite.
They turned it up to 11.
Mark, you had told us that you thought Tennessee would be a good test for you guys. What did you learn about your team today?
I thought we handled ourselves very maturely. Managing the travel last week, didn't get off to a great start, but kept playing through it, and that's an encouraging sign, especially going into a bye week. Get some guys healthy or back to life. Had a bunch of guys nicked up, but yeah, good one to build on.
Your quarterback, Marcus Mariota, had another huge game, 483 yards. How have you seen his skills evolve from last year to this season?
Well, Marcus we wouldn't trade him for anybody in the world, and he's first and foremost a great person, and we love everything he does. He's really matured as a leader, which it's been an infectious deal throughout our team, and we look forward to his. I mean, he's still got some room to grow, and he wants to, so that's a good thing.
How did this game prepare you guys for the meat of your schedule coming up?
Well, playing a really good team is always a good test, and we're going to run into a bunch more. We've got next week off, and we need to use that as a week to get better.
Okay, Mark, congratulations, and thanks again.
Thanks, Julie. All right. See you guys.
Thank you, Mark.
Honestly, you wonder how much better they can get. A very, very impressive win. Oregon goes to 3-0 on the season, solidifying that number 2 spot in the polls. That's assuming Alabama goes on to win. 59-14, the final here in Eugene, Oregon.